Well, kids, today, before we get into our teaching, I have something that I want us to do. And so every time I hold up this sign, I want you to read the words on it with me. So, Amelia, can you read what this sign says for me?
Yep. The good news of Jesus can't be stopped.
Excellent. The good news of Jesus can't be stopped. So every time I hold up this sign, we're going to say it together. Are you ready?
The good news of Jesus can't be stopped.
Excellent. I think we've got it. Do you think you have it at home?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, kids, the last few weeks we've been learning about Paul and his letter to the Philippians. You see, Paul was really far away from his church, from the church in Philippi, and he really missed his Christian brothers and sisters. And so he wrote this letter to them to tell them that. Amelia, are you feeling like you're missing your friends at the moment?
Yeah, Kezia, I am. I mean, I've been so sad that I haven't been able to come to kids' church and I haven't been able to go and visit my friends or even go to school. I mean, I just miss them so much. And you know, the other day for my birthday, I was given a really big bag of lollies. But then I realised I couldn't share them with my friends. And you know, this morning when we were making pancakes for Mum, I just got so excited to go and tell my friends at kids' church about it, but I couldn't. But do you know what's been the worst thing?
What's been the worst?
Well, you know, in the book of Philippians, we've been learning to share the good news of Jesus with everyone.
Yeah.
But I've got no one to share it with.
Oh, that's really hard, Amelia. It seems like it's really tricky to think about how we can share the good news of Jesus with others when we're so far from them. In fact, this was a similar situation to Paul. You see, he was trying to share the good news of Jesus, but it was a bit hard because Paul was actually in chains.
Oh no.
In jail. See, Paul was locked up in jail really far from his Christian brothers and sisters, but he still wanted to be able to share the good news of Jesus.
Wow.
And so we're going to find out a bit more now about what Paul did, and let's just remember that Paul knew something very important. Can you
Was
read
it that the good news of Jesus, it can't be stopped?
Exactly. Let's find out a bit more about what was happening with Paul now. Paul knew how important the good news that Jesus died and rose from the dead so we can have new life with him was, and he knew that it had to be shared with everyone. But some people didn't believe in or like what Paul was saying, so they put him in prison. Paul was very far away from his Christian brothers and sisters. But Paul knew the good news of Jesus can't be stopped. Even though Paul was locked up in prison, he thanked God because he could still share the good news with the people there and also write his friends letters. When people heard about Paul, they started sharing the good news too. You see, the good news of Jesus can't be stopped. Some of these people were telling the good news because they loved Jesus like Paul did, and they saw how important the good news is. But others were spreading the good news because they wanted to get Paul into even more trouble. But Paul was still happy because it didn't matter how it was shared. In the end, the good news of Jesus could not be stopped.
Oh, that's awesome. And the good news of Jesus, it can't be stopped because God will always make a way for it to happen.
Exactly, and because we've been praying that we will have opportunities to spread the good news, this week we actually have some opportunities. I think I've heard, kids, that some of you are going back to school one day a week. And so I think on that day, you might be able to see your friends and tell them the good news of Jesus.
That's a great idea, but... well, what if we're feeling like a little bit maybe anxious or scared? And what if we don't really know what to say to our friends?
Yeah, that's really tricky, Amelia. And it can be a bit scary to share the good news. But Paul actually tells the Philippians how to deal with this in his letter. He says for them to pray for him that he would have courage to share the good news. And do you know what the best part is, Amelia?
No, what is it?
Well, the Philippians did this. They prayed for Paul, and they too wanted prayer from Paul to share the good news and to have courage in doing that. So this is actually them partnering in the gospel together.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome. Just like we're partners in the gospel at Hope Church.
Exactly. So kids, we can pray for one another to have courage to share the good news about Jesus. And I think this week that there are lots of good opportunities that we can have to share the good news. Remember, you can call your friends. You could ask your parents to call them or jump onto virtual morning tea today and you can encourage them like that. Or you can draw a picture of the good news. You can write a letter to them. There are lots lots of ways, even during COVID, that you can still be talking to your friends and sharing the good news with them. So this week we want to challenge you, especially if you're going back to school, maybe at recess or lunch that day that you go back, to share the good news of Jesus with someone, because even during COVID and no matter what happens, the good news of Jesus can't be stopped.